Hey there, fellow Narragaugers. So, 3 years have passed since we first put the 58 in operation, and today is the day for our triennial State of Ohio historical boiler inspection. So, in a couple of hours, the inspector is going to come out here and look at the boiler and do his inspection, and then give us our little sticker and approval to operate for the next 3 years. So let's go over what it takes to do a historical boiler inspection in the state of Ohio. So we're going to look here at the unofficial guide for owners and operators of historical boilers in Ohio. This is a very good little booklet that Bruce Babcock put out, and it goes over a lot of the information. Now, of course, it says unofficial guide, so this is not from the state of Ohio. So let's get to the inspections, okay? So the boiler has to be inspected, internal and external inspection, smoke box, barrel, wrapper sheet, dome. Goes down through everything here that they're looking at. He may ultrasonically evaluate the boiler if he finds a reason to. And then there is also a hydrostatic test that has to be done, and I will show you how we're doing that in a little bit. And then the cost of the inspection, $150. I already sent that money in. Okay, there it is. Yeah, for the triennial inspection. Hydrostatic tests. So 1 1/4 of the safety valve setting, but in no case greater than 225 psi, except for railway locomotives, for which the safety valves may be set in accordance with manufacturer specifications. Now, there's a little question on this, because it says in the law that historical boilers cannot be operated more than 180 psi. And then it also says here that, except for railway locomotives, and of course this one is 200 psi. So when he gets here, I'm going to ask for some clarification. Which one of those do we have to abide by? If it's 180, okay. If we can go by the manufacturer's recommended pressure, then we'll increase it up to 200. So we're gonna get some clarification on that today, because it's not really written in a way that's cut and dried. So the said accurate test gauge shall be used when hydrostatically pressure testing a boiler. Several years ago, I did a video on how to deadweight test pressure gauges, and that's the deadweight tester I use every winter. So the two gauges that are on the locomotive right now, the one on top of the dome and also the one here in the cab, I did deadweight test them, and they came out good. So we're good there. The water temperature during the test will be between 60 degrees and 120 degrees. Well, 3 days ago, it was 80 degrees. Today, it's in the upper 30s this morning, and in the low 40s right now. So definitely, and the water is only halfway up the gauge glass. Well, that water is not going to be minimum of 60 degrees. So what I did is I started a wood fire in the firebox, not a big one, just a little one. And set it up, filled it full of water, set it up with a hose to drain the water as it expands out of the boiler, and then I went to breakfast. And I come back 45 minutes later, the fire's just about out, so I raked the last of the coals out, and then started cleaning the boiler, cleaning out the firebox, took the grates out, went up the smoke box, and took the shop vac to it, and cleaned all that out. But the water is definitely between 60 and 120 right now, which is what we need. So upon successful completion of hydrostatic tests, the licensing board shall issue a sticker indicating approved boiler's maximum working pressure in a year and a month the inspection was performed. Okay. So that is basically the rules and regulations that we have to abide by. Now notice, this not being an FRA boiler, there's no mention of 1,472 days. There's no mention of going inside and taking the tubes out for an internal inspection. On these things, we do the hydro test, drain the water out, take some of the plugs out. He takes a look inside, and then we just open up whatever the inspector wants us to open up so he can get a good look inside. So now let's look at what we've done to get things ready. Now the first thing is that took the safety valve off. It's sitting right here, and plugged off that opening because you definitely can't hydro test it with the safety valve on. Went in here into the firebox, took the grates out, and took the shop vac to in here. All right, and then let's see, go around to the front. And then got in here with the shop vac and started cleaning out all the ash and soot and all that from inside the smoke box. All right. And then go up on top. All right, so we set this up. So this is the monkey tail. This is an overflow. Here's a check valve, and there is a pressure gauge. And then this high pressure hose runs down there to that hydro pump. And then the water from there is coming off of our totes. So when it's time to do the test, I'll go down there and start pumping on that, and I'll just keep pumping until this gets up to the correct pressure setting, which is 225 psi. Because of the check valves, check valve here, check valve on the pump, assuming that there are no leaks, which there should not be, it'll hold that pressure for a good long time while the inspector goes around looking for water coming out of the boiler, looking for leaks, looking for bulged sheets, anything that he may find exception to. Assuming that everything is dry and that it finds no problems, then we consider the test successful. So it's a very easy setup. I keep this all together, all this here, just unscrew this here. This goes in the cabinet for the next time we do a hydro test. Also put away the hose and the pump so that if we have to do a hydro, it's real easy. Just pull all this stuff out, hook it up, and start making pressure. The other thing we do is all the valves coming off the boiler are shut off. This one, the main turret valve, the injector line valves, all the valves are shut so that we're just pressure testing the boiler itself. All right. Now, let's see if I can get back down here without falling off the engine, which would not be good. All right. There you can see all the grates are sitting out. Oh, well, the one thing here that we were looking at earlier that I want to point out is that this is very important to have. Something like this, where you have all your documentation all in one place. So here's this is the page out of the 1941 Locomotive Cyclopedia, 200 psi steam pressure, locomotive number 58. There's the bill from the state of Ohio, $150 for the triennial inspection. There's some articles and all that I printed out. Everything that we have to have. When we did the ultrasounds of the firebox in 2020, I have all that information here. Regulations that if I have to consult it, here's copies of the Ohio law regarding historical boilers. There's the official guide, unofficial guide, information on the injectors and safety valves and all that. Some Jim Conte's information on Boiler Saver, the water treatment, certifications. So this here is what was this? See, oh, okay, stay bolts. Okay, this was when we made the new steam dome lid. So here's the material certifications. So any steel you use in the boiler has to be certified material. You have to have these certs to go along with it. So, material test certificates, all that information. You have to have all this. Boiler tubes, anything, even the studs, bolts, everything that you use that goes in that boiler has to have a sheet of paper that goes with it. And then we had a welder come out, so we have some of his information. Here's the test data sheet on the pressure relief valve when I bought it. So, all this stuff is important. You have to have it. Of course, there's my certification. I passed the steam school for when I got my historical boiler operations license. So, if you have a steam boiler in Ohio, you should have something like this all in one place and accessible. And you notice it's in something that's kind of weather resistant. I keep this in the engine house and it's readily available if we need to consult it. So that's basically it. So in a couple hours, the inspector is going to come out and take a look at it. Hopefully he doesn't see any problems that we haven't. We've run the thing a couple times already. Have had no problems, no leaks on it, no leaks in the boiler. There's a couple leaks and valves and all that we're going to take care of, but nothing in the boiler itself. I'm hoping to get a clean bill of health on the locomotive and be good for another 3 years. So that's basically what it takes to get ready for a boiler inspection in the state of Ohio. So take care, everyone.